What is going on, everybody? We're back for another episode of the Double Switch podcast. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know about you, Johnny, but I'm kind of starting to feel like I'm in a simulation because it feels like for the entire season, pretty much, we've just been on here talking about how we lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets, got swept by the Mets, lost 3 out of 4 to the Mets. Feels like every week we do the same thing, and it's kind of annoying, if I'm being completely honest. I wish I could get on here and tell you guys about how we swept our division foes, but it's not the case. It wasn't the case last week. Not the case today. Another failed weekend. This time, the Mets took it to us at home, and really, really frustrating start to finish. Give me a word to describe this weekend, Johnny.
Abysmal.
Yeah. No, this was a absolutely abysmal weekend. We kind of started off with our 2 horses, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler. Both ended up losing in spectacular fashion. Mets put up big numbers. The Phillies just looked dead the whole time. And at that point, any idea of splitting the series was kind of threatened. That's when I kind of started to worry. And, Bailey Falter came to the rescue. Sunday was a disaster. Are you surprised by what happened this weekend, Johnny?
Yeah, no, I am. I bought into the idea that we were evolving and developing as a team. And I think what really got me the most was how they got to Nola and Wheeler. Wheeler 2 weekends in a row. That was heartbreaking. I mean, watching that, they just dinked and dunked our starters right out of the ball game.
Yeah, they came to Philly, and we gave them everything we had in terms of the rotation the first 2 days, and the Mets just took it and ran with it. It's kind of starting to worry me, the Wheeler velocity problem, because he's not as effective as he used to be. He hasn't been for a while now, and it's definitely something to monitor as the season goes on. Nola kind of folded under the big situation. He's not as good this year at home. We said we didn't really know what to make of that, but both lost at the end of the day. Both didn't step up, and it was just the start of an awful weekend, start to finish. Let's start with some of the news. Corey Knebel out for the season. There's a couple of different ways we could kind of look to repair that. How big of a loss is that for us?
Not as big as people are saying. There was people and a lot of people out there that thought this team was better without Corey Knebel not that long ago. And then he came back and he was effective for us. But we found a lot of effective arms. I know that they didn't look effective against the Mets this weekend, a lot of our arms, but they are against the rest of the league. They have been. So, that's one guy. It's next man up. And we have some young guys that could get a chance in the minor leagues, too, to come up and throw some probably not high leverage innings, but I think we'll be okay.
I think we saw one of those arms in the ninth inning of yesterday's game. Yeah, that's Coonrod. Coonrod's going to be the guy who steps into that Knebel role, and it's a welcome sight having him back. Big league experience. So that's probably the lowest on the list of injuries that we have experienced these past couple of days. Next most problemsome injury, center fielder Brandon Marsh, when it goes to the IL with a sprained ankle, I believe. After watching the play, I was not expecting a sprained ankle. I was kind of expecting a torn ACL, meniscus, something bad like that. We end up claiming Bradley Zimmer from the Blue Jays. Oh man, the news is brutal this week. Nothing
Slow news, folks.
Yeah, this is a rough episode. Yeah, Bradley Zimmer comes to Philly, and he's our new center fielder for the time being. We saw him in center. We saw Bierling in left for a couple games, and there was not much offense happening out of those 2 positions. The good news is that he provides high-level defense for the time being. I'm hoping this is just, a stint where Marsh comes back and quickly gets that role back because, he was kind of starting to play better. And I like some continuity. Hopefully he can come back and finish the season strong. Anything to say about him?
I mean, having Bradley Zimmer in center field kind of feels like our center field production the past 3 years. So we're kind of used to the lack of production in that position.
Yeah, we traded away all of our outfield depth, and we ended up needing another center fielder. And we got essentially what we got rid of. He's pretty much Mickey Moniak with a glove. It's rough, but fortunately he came through the waivers at the right time, because I'm sure there was not many good options out there for us. Couldn't even tell you who's in the minors playing center field right now. Johan Rojas might be the only center fielder on the roster right now, the 40-man. So, good time for Bradley Zimmer to, go through waivers, and hopefully he can do something while he's here. But those two injuries kind of take a back seat to the biggest problem we're facing right now. Our high leverage closer / reliever, Sir Anthony Dominguez, triceps tendonitis. You never like hearing that. It's making a bullpen that's already kind of thinner. It's kind of making everybody's role more intense. Everybody has to step up to a higher role right now. And that's kind of when problems start to happen. We saw it this weekend. Our depth was tested, and our depth did not survive the test. What's the game plan here without Sir Anthony? And do you think we can survive 2 week stint without him? Do you think we have the guys to step up and kind of provide the innings that we need without our best reliever?
I'm nervous about this whole situation because we're seeing for the first time in a while this season, we're seeing a vulnerable starting rotation. Guys that we wouldn't expect give up more runs and not go as long in games. At the same time, we lose Knebel and Dominguez, the big one. I think it's gonna be an issue these next 2 weeks. I don't think we'll be able to put out all the teams we need to.
What are you more concerned about right now? The regression from the starting rotation or the injuries to the bullpen?
Right now, the injuries to the bullpen, but just because it's kind of the cherry on top to underperforming starters. Because for a while there, had a very reliable rotation in all of July and a really, really strong bullpen. I even flaunted it and rubbed it in people's faces a couple times. And you know what? We can't have nice things, folks. Sir Anthony is the MVP of this bullpen, and I think we're gonna have it will not be smooth sailing without him. Yeah,
that's fair to say. He's been huge. Probably the biggest surprise of the team. We kind of had a closer come out of nowhere. You saw him coming, so credit to you. You were all over Sir Anthony coming into the season, and hopefully he's all right. And, that's that. We'll see what happens. Let's get back to some of the game action. I believe Nola was the first.
You missed a little bit more news.
More news? Let me hear
it. Bryce Harper set to start his rehab assignment in Lehigh Valley Tuesday. He'll be playing Tuesday to Saturday every day, and then he'll have Sunday off in hopes of returning Monday.
I saw that, and that means that my prayers have been answered. This team is so desperate for offense. I cannot even tell you how big of a welcome sight it's going to be getting Bryce Harper back. I just hope that, sometimes the thumb injuries, they sap power, and it's not what you want to hear, but I'm confident that he's good enough of a hitter that he can kind of provide in other ways, gap power, just good contact skills, which we seem to be missing nowadays. I don't know. We need him back, and whatever form he can give us.
Honestly, just the energy of Bryce Harper, having him in the lineup, in the clubhouse, active, I think is going to be a huge push to the guys.
Yeah, no, he's going to be huge. He's going to provide an instant thump, and when you're on the front lines of any battle and you have relief coming, it makes you feel better. It takes some of the pressure off. Hopefully, some of the guys who are stepping up in those middle of the order roles, the JTs, the Castellanos, even Alec Boehm, who's been scuffling a little bit. Hopefully they all just get some of the pressure off of them. But that's soon. That's Bryce soon. back to this past weekend. Yeah, like I said, the first 2 days, not much to say. Just got beat by a better team. They beat our best pitchers. Third game of the series, had somebody step up. A name that's been thrown around for a while now as, a potential starter. Might be one of our foundation pieces next year in the rotation. Bailey Falter came up when we needed him and gave us 6 strong innings. Is your confidence rising in Bailey to give us production, give us depth, and hopefully next year give us, reliable innings from a back of the rotation role? Are you there yet with him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not gonna be a liar, but I was not before this start. I wasn't even very close to being like a large fan of Bailey Falter, but he stepped up. He stepped up when no one else was stepping up, and he was a stopgap for us. He stopped the bleeding and got us a freaking win. I mean,
A much needed win.
I mean, what he did was so huge that he threw himself into next year's plans already.
As he should, because the day after we saw, a guy who's filling out the back of the rotation this year just absolutely fail to, the greatest extent possible. We needed Gibby to give us some innings. He did not do that. He did not provide any sort of effectiveness and a chance to split this series. And after the first 3 games of the series, first 2 mainly, if I told you we could have came out of this with the split, man, I would have been the happiest guy in the world if that was the case. But, Gibby was just, a lot of people deserve blame for that loss. I believe we blew 3 different leads. Gibby was the first one. Robertson was the last one. Man, the pitching just failed terribly that day. I know you actually watched the game. I was fortunate enough to not watch the game. Kind of walk me through what happened that game and how you felt throughout that entire game. I'm sure it was quite the roller coaster for you.
Yeah, I mean, with Gibson, it was just untimely contact, poor 0-2 pitches. He wasn't put against a good team like the Mets. He does not have a put away pitch. He can get the batter to 2 strikes, but then they'll just foul off every pitch that's close to the zone, and they'll wait for one of his dinky sinkers to fall right down the middle, and they'll tap it to left field because the Mets are better than us.
Yeah,
and so sorry that was a little bit. I was projecting a little bit right there, folks. But and then more with the bullpen, a big issue is walking. We even saw like Bilotti walking some people. But yeah, a common trend that game was walking the first runner of the game or of the inning. That's like a bad omen. They always end up scoring, and in that case, they did.
I'd say they scored quite a bit, and they overshadowed a huge day from Alec Boehm. Guy deserves some credit because we've had a lot of disappointment this year in terms of big name, big money players letting us down. Alec Boehm has not let us down.
No, Boehm has been the man. Boehm rakes, and
good. I know where you're getting at.
Gene Segura, man, you can't take any credit away from him. That home run. He was so hyped up. He was hollering and screaming in the dugout, living his best life. And that's what makes the loss so much more painful. It's because Gene was so happy, and then all the announcers were like, "Oh, Gene wants to go to the wild card game. Like he wants to go in the playoffs."
Yeah, in a lineup that's scuffling this much, we finally come around and we put up a big number, 9 runs. You got to think that gives you a good chance to win. We had our big 3-hitter now, Alec Boehm. Didn't see myself saying that coming into the season. Give us 6 RBIs, provide all the thump we needed to win a game like this. And we were facing, couldn't even tell you who the Mets threw out there.
Jose Buto.
Because I've never heard of him. I'm pretty sure that he has been in the minors, or if he hasn't been in the minors, he's just gotten no innings because he's probably not good, if I'm being completely honest. No discredit to him, but if he was good, he'd be in the rotation by now. They threw him out there, along with a bunch of other starters not named Scherzer or DeGrom, and it didn't matter. It was still enough to beat the Phillies. It was still enough to just seemingly overpower us at home. There's no excuses anymore. We can cry, we don't have our best player. we didn't see their best players, their two best players probably. We saw a bunch of minor league pitchers and Trevor Williams, who I didn't even know was still in the majors. He was a starter like 5 years ago for the Pirates. And, he just shows back up and shuts us down. So that stinks. They were working with, depleted roster, and so were we, and they're the better team. Nothing left to say about that. I'm happy we don't have to face them again. They own real estate in our head. They own real estate in our ballpark too, it seems like, because did you see they had a Mets fan throw out the first pitch?
I did see that. What the hell?
Yeah. So basically the guy sold a ton of tickets to Mets fans, and his reward, like from CBP concessions, was he got to throw out the first pitch. So not only did we have a bunch of Mets fans at the stadium, the guy got rewarded for it. Complete blunder on whoever's in charge of that. I mean, I guess it's hard to tell, but it feels preventable. Feels like a preventable thing that we could have avoided. So, yeah,
that should never happen ever.
No, it just adds insult to injury because they essentially just made this their home ballpark this weekend. I heard "Let's Go Mets" fans chanting. I heard cheering when the Phillies were doing bad, and Phillies fans deserve some of the blame for that. I'm not going to point fingers because this team, as you've probably heard with our episodes, every episode it feels like we're worried about someone different because there's just no consistency whatsoever recently. We could look like the best team in baseball, and then we can get swept by the Cubs. We can be red hot and just lose 5 of 7 to the Mets. It's better than it used to be the past couple years, but it's still, even I am still having a little problem completely buying in. And that's kind of why you saw what you saw at the stadium this past weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Who would you say disappointed you the most this weekend? Because we're on that type of tone this episode.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. So it's going to be one of our aces, and I'm probably going to go with Zach Wheeler here. Aaron Nola, he's worse at home, and he threw up a gem last weekend, so it's not great, but he hasn't been awful. Zach Wheeler got completely destroyed by the Mets on Sunday. I was there. I don't know if you heard. Completely ruined that day. And then he comes back out on Friday and just nothing. He's supposed to be our ace, and I know that he's working with depleted stuff. Can't imagine that's fun, but you got to give me something more than that. You got to keep us in the ball game. Keep it close, and especially with the way our bullpen is currently situated and doubleheader like that, I'm going to need more than 5 innings out of my ace. I'm going to need at least 7. And if you have to kind of struggle it out, just to grind it out deeper into the game, save the bullpen, that's huge. He wasn't able to do that. Fortunately, Bailey Falter was able to do that in the nightcap. Another thing I didn't see myself saying, but yeah, probably Zach Wheeler. Where would you go with that? Who would you credit it to the most?
There's a good list. I know there's a great large list of disappointments to choose from. There's not just one disappointment actually, but Matt Vierling.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Matt Vierling's bat has completely disappeared, and it's even worse against the Mets. In the Mets series 2 weekends ago, he had a 14 at bats, 1 hit, 50% strikeout percentage. And then this series in 13 at bats had a 77 average, 200 OBP. At least he had a 13.3% K percentage, but also just 1 hit in 13 at bats. He had 2 at bats in 7 games against the Mets. That's not a major leaguer, and I love the guy. I'm rooting for him, but if you completely disappear in that big of a series, 2 of them in a row, you got to get sent down.
Yeah,
but we can't.
Yeah, the problem is we can't because our outfield depth is gone. But you got to think that you got to start Maton against righties, right? Maton and Zimmer against righties going forward because Matt Vierling has not touched a righty in a long time. I don't know why that's so clear to me. Why is that not already happened? Maton against righties. That seems so clear.
It seems like when you look at his swing that like he kind of has that similar toe tap like change that a lot of the other guys were going through, like less of like a load, and he still just is not. He's never early on the ball. Never. His hard contact lately, since the Hader home run, I feel like has all been to right field.
I believe it, and it's frustrating. You can only get so mad at the guy when you're dealing with a situation like this where we don't have anybody else. It's it's a testament to him being able to play any position like that, do whatever you have to do. But his bat's killing us right now, and him with Zimmer in center, he can't hit either. Let's be real here.
No,
he can't hit at all. 2 dead outs. Hopefully soon we're going to see Schwarber in left, which is going to be a welcome sight. Unfortunately, that's going to mean that Vierling's just going to get at bat in center, but at least you can kind of look to a platoon there, something to just get him out of the lineup against righties because it's not working.
Well, and having a Zimmer Vierling center field sounds, until Marsh gets back, sounds much better than having both of them in the lineup every night. Because that my friend is torture.
It's rough, but
and you can't be in the race we are with 2 dead outs in your lineup.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. But with that being said, Matt Vierling's still a guy I want on my team. I just don't want him starting every day. He's not. He's a very, very good clubhouse guy, and in short glimpses, he can be good. He can hit. We've seen it before, and I don't doubt that. But he's in a funk right now. Got to find a way to get him in a better situation with the bat. It's rough. It's rough for Matty V. It's rough from Bradley Zimmer. Just up and down this lineup, there's virtually no thump. I saw a stat the other day that said since August 1st, Albert Pujols by himself has more home runs than the whole Phillies lineup. And if you take out Rhys Hoskins, who seems like all the power now, Schwarber's back, so that's big. But over the past couple of weeks, if you take out Rhys Hoskins, there's nothing in this lineup in terms of long ball threats. Derek Hall's cooled off. Alec Boehm is probably our best bet at a home run if you take out Rhys. And that should say something because Alec Boehm does not like hitting home runs.
It's not his game.
I'm sure he likes it, but he's not comfortable with that. He sprays the ball all over the field. But no, it is rough, and it's been rough. It's the dog days of summer. Every team's going through this, but it feels a little more painful here in South Philly.
Yeah, it does. Now, I don't know why it is that way, but it is. But Josh, that actually reminds me, we here at the Double Switch podcast, as well as all of Pick Swap Media, are excited to announce our partnership with the sportsdisplays.com. Sports Displays are the creators of their unique product, the Jersey Mount, which can be installed to any surface and is significantly cheaper than the hundreds of dollars usually cost for this type of quality display. Check out the link in the description and make sure to use promo code PICKSWAP at checkout for 10% off and free shipping.
Good stuff there. Definitely check that out. Johnny, I have a hypothetical for you.
All right, I'm all ears.
So, I don't even know how to present this, not make it sound ridiculous. You are down 1 in the top of the 9th. You have your best reliever on your team on the hill. He's thrown 20 pitches, and he threw yesterday, so you don't want to get too crazy. Would you, A, leave him in for 5 more pitches, or would you, B, bring in some guy to make his major league debut? Which route would you go there?
B.
Why would you bring in someone to make their major league debut in that scenario? We're going to face the best reliever in baseball. one run is like bad as it is, but you really got to keep it there if you want to have any chance because Edwin Diaz does not give up runs.
I get that he did.
Yeah, exactly. He literally did, but because we chose to take out Robertson, who was at 20 pitches. Thomson said that was his cap for Robertson, and pretty much all of Phillies Nation was like united in saying you couldn't let him go 5 more pitches. It's not. I get it. You don't want to hurt our closer now because we have no bullpen depth, but you also want to win that game. You need to do everything you can to win that game. It's questionable.
Let me play devil's advocate a little bit. Would you? What do you do though if Robertson goes that one more batter and then starts holding his elbow? What's worse? What's worse?
Yeah, I hear you. I do. I really hear you.
There's no Sir Anthony's out, man.
Even then, why would you not go to Coonrod, who is still down there? I mean,
that should have been the solution.
Yeah, it seems like he went the worst possible route. There was 3 scenarios there: leave Robertson in, go to Sear. I'm not sure how to say his last name. Something like that. It doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure he's not on the team anymore. Or bring in Coonrod, who has high leverage experience, and he's available. Like, he's literally available. If you go to extras in that game, you figure it out then. But you got to play that out by out. See, it's kind of like a questionable move out of someone who has not made too many bullpen blunders. He's not Joe Girardi. This seems like something Joe Girardi would draw up and do. But Thompson's been pretty good with that. And I don't know what happened there. It seems just like a brain fart. But, I do get his reasoning behind keeping Robertson healthy. But Coonrod's there. And I don't know.
It's, to say the least, it's very confusing and disappointing.
It's frustrating for sure. It's even more frustrating when you see that we scored 1 run in the bottom of the 9th, which would have been all the difference.
Yeah, it kind of felt like Thomson was managing as if extra innings were guaranteed. And we're down. Like, it's like you have to get that lead before, like, or that tie or the lead.
No, he defended it to the very end, despite everybody's protest. I don't know. I think it was just a culmination of just a very, very frustrating day, start to finish. People kind of were dying to point to something that they can kind of blame someone for. It's tough to blame the whole team because there's a bunch of people, but Thompson's decision was fresh in everybody's mind, and he took a lot of slack for it. I'm still on board with him. One decision's never going to sway me from anybody, but it's rough. It was rough hearing about that, and just sitting at home and coming up with better ideas. He has all the resources in the world. I just don't get why Coonrod wasn't in that game.
I don't either.
I don't know.
You're right. There were so many other things that happened during that game. We could look at Gibson. He failed. Our offense didn't really. I mean, our offense actually did try, but it was mostly Alec Boehm. But it's tough to be too hard on Rob Thomson. He's been so good with this bullpen that we have that. And kind of changing the narrative for the Phillies. We've always been stuck in this why isn't our bullpen good enough type phase, and he's changed that. He's helped us put confidence in it. And if he had confidence in Tyler Sear, and it didn't work out. Oh well, maybe it'll work out next time.
If there's a next time for Tyler Sear, but yeah, no, that's if there's one good piece of news that we can take from this. It's the fact that we're done with the Mets. We're done pretty early. Our schedule's pretty good from here on out. We have to deal with the Astros down in Houston, which is rough. I'm sure we have the Braves again, if I had to guess. I'm not as enthusiastic as I once was about our playoff chances, but I still think we are okay. It's It's big that we had the tiebreaker against all these wild card teams, but these teams are still good. We've kind of discredited them in the past. They're not going to go down without a fight. This team has to pick it up soon. We have to definitely take care of business against the Reds and the Pirates this week. We're talking 6 or 7 games. You have to take 4 or 5 of them. And you have to go into every series with a team that's worse than you, with the attitude of we can sweep this team. It's going to take efforts like that to finish strong, and it's something that I do think we can do. And I'm still on board. I'm not panicking too much, panicking a little, but that's to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, we're all obviously panicking just because of the heartbreak, but it's important to realize that was the Mets. They are the best team in the National League. That's without a doubt. And we have played other teams really well this year. Basically, everyone except the Mets, we've played really well. And another point for optimism: the next 19 of our games are against teams below 500.
Yeah, it sounds good, doesn't it?
It sounds good in theory.
It sounds like that's easy, but it's never easy here.
No, not in the beautiful city of Philadelphia.
20 games over 500 if we haven't played the Mets this year. We'd be 20 games over 500.
That's some shit, isn't it?
It's rough. Are you sick of the Kyle Gibson experience? Because I am.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired. And I actually thought today we had like our little bet going in the beginning of the year. Who was going to have a higher ERA, Zach Eflin or Kyle Gibson? What a bet, man. They both suck.
Yeah, it's
not
rough.
Not suck. Eflin is hurt. I get it. But
no, I still like Eflin's stuff a little more than Gibson's. But I mean, if Gibson comes to us next year and says, I can come back on a 1-year, $2 million deal, I really don't even want him back. I'm just sick of it because the guy has no capacity for pressure. It feels like, and I'm absolutely dreading the day that Rob Thomson names him our Game 4 starter for a series. I really nope.
Yeah, that guy. You're right. He. I think we always knew he was gonna be like this innings eater, but he can only eat innings against the Mickey Mouse ball clubs of the world, like the Nationals and like those types of squads, the Reds, and he's not suited for the Dodgers and the Mets. But hey, either a Noel or Wheeler, so that's where we're at.
I'm starting to think that we might have to start Ranger every playoff game, just back to back to back.
Every single game.
That's the only way we're going to win.
Icy Ranger.
Icy Ranger. But yeah, you got anything else? This episode was not our best, but the situations are not ideal. We're kind of just taking it as we can, and it's one of these days we're going to have good news, right?
Yeah, of course. I guess what comes around goes around. But yeah, we weren't going to lie to you this episode. Morale is low for sure. That was a massive series loss. It's a really tough pill to swallow for all of like the faithfuls out there. But we'll see.
Yes, we will. We will see. We will definitely see this week if they bounce back. And Bryce Harper's on the way, so we can take solace in that. But anyway, that should do it for this episode. For those of you who don't know, we partnered with Pick Swap Media Group, making awesome stuff about the Sixers, Eagles. Find them on YouTube, Spotify, all kinds of good material. Definitely check them out. And hopefully next time we come to you guys, we are talking about the most recent Phillies win streak. But you know how it goes. We'll see.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone. Go Fightins.